Fourth Sunday of Easter is always Good Shepherd Sunday, and because of the coincidence of timing, it falls on Mother's Day. So the whole emphasis is that Jesus is our Good Shepherd. I think we all get that. But the goal then is that he would allow his love to transform us into being good shepherds for others. That's the whole process. It's not just what God can do for us to help us with our problems of daily living or whatever, but that love would transform us to be more and more like Jesus and pour out an unselfish love for others, and not just those around us, the strangers and the outcasts and people we don't even know, or perhaps people we don't even care about. But how does that transformation take place? That's the goal. For those of us who are adults here today, wasn't there a time in your young life when maybe you were teenagers where your parents wondered if you were ever going to turn out? My parents did. I was a terrible teenager. I've said this before. I was in the farm, and my bedroom was upstairs. My parents' bedroom was downstairs. So in the morning, my dad would call me to get up to go and milk the cows. I'd say, yeah. And after a while, my dad would say, I don't hear anything. So I would get out of bed, stomp around a little bit, go back to bed. He could never imagine that one day I'd get up by myself. What about you? For those of you with kids, don't you once in a while wonder, are they ever going to get it? But somehow, it happens for most people. Not all, of course. And it happens primarily because of the example that parents and we adults give. You parents know as well as I, it doesn't make any difference what you say to your kids. It's your example. And think about us adults, think about your parents. What really affected you the most? Wasn't it their example? What they did, not necessarily what they said. And that's the goal of life. That more and more that we would as adults, we would set the example for our kids that we are disciples of Jesus. I often talk about this, that a lot of people say, well, my kids don't go to Mass anymore. They don't practice the faith. Why? Well, I think it's because in the past, we kept our faith too private. Not that we've got to be evangelizers, but our children have to see what we believe and why we believe it in our actions. Our children have to see us praying at home and reading the Bible as God's wisdom. That's how it is passed on. And if our parents have given us any gifts, or if you parents want to give your children gifts, show them by your example, doing it over and over and over again, and someday they will get it. That's why Mother's Day, and coincidentally now with Good Shepherd, I go back to this children's book, Love You Forever by Robert Munsch, because I think this says it a lot better than I could ever dream of saying it. And please join in the refrain when you're comfortable. A mother held her newborn baby and very slowly rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she held him, she sang, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. The baby grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was 2 years old. He ran all around the house, pulled all the books off the bookshelves, pulled the food out of the refrigerator, even took his mother's watch and flushed it down the toilet. Sometimes his mother would say, this kid is driving me crazy. But at nighttime, when that 2-year-old was asleep, she opened the door to his room, crawled across the floor, looked up over the side of the bed. And if he was really asleep, she picked him up and she rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. The boy grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was 9 years old. He never wanted to come in for dinner, never wanted to take a bath. And when Grandma visited, he always said bad words. Sometimes his mother wanted to sell him to a zoo. But at nighttime, when he was asleep, the mother quietly opened the door to his room, crawled across the floor, looked up over the side of the bed. And if that 9-year-old boy was asleep, she picked him up and she rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. The boy grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was a teenager. He had strange friends. He wore strange clothes. He listened to strange music. Sometimes his mother felt that she was in a zoo. But at nighttime, when that teenager was asleep, the mother opened the door to his room, crawled across the floor, looked up over the side of the bed, and if he was really asleep, that mother picked up her big boy and she rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. The teenager grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was a grown-up man. He left home, bought a house across town. But sometimes on dark nights, the mother got in her car and drove across town. And if the lights in her son's house were out, she'd open his bedroom window, crawl across the floor, look up over the side of the bed, and if that great big man was really asleep, she picked him up. And she rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. Well, the mother got older and older. One day she called up her son and said, you better come and see me because I'm getting very old and sick. So when he came in the door, she tried to sing the song. She sang, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for all. But she couldn't finish. She was too old and sick. So the son went to his mother. He picked her up and he rocked her back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then he sang her song. I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my mommy you'll be. Well, that night the son came home. He stood for a long time at the foot of the stairs. Then he went up the stairs and he went into the room where his newborn baby daughter was asleep. He picked her up and he rocked her back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And for the first time, he sang to her, I'll love you forever.
Thank you for watching the homily on Easter Sunday here at St. Elizabeth Ann Seton in New Berlin. We invite you to join us any weekend for worship with us, or you can watch us on mysaintelizabeth.com or on Facebook. Happy Easter.